al-Qaeda in Iraq reached the height of its destructive capacity in late 2006 and early 2007 before it was largely decimated by a counterterrorism campaign by coalition troops and Iraqi security forces, which basically means our troops. The organization was weakened to a fraction of its members and its capacities. In the past 2 years, al-Qaeda in Iraq has regrouped, regained capacities, and expanded into areas from which it was expelled during the latter stages of the Iraq War in 2008. The result has been perhaps 8,000 deaths this year and a revitalization of al-Qaeda in Iraq. One of our witnesses, Dr. Pollack, says in his testimony that in 2013, Iraq is on track to experience a 100% increase in violent deaths when compared to 2012, and 2012 was no day, walk in the park. There is a cycle of violence in Iraq where AQI targets Shia communities, and the Iraqi government responds with massive security sweeps against Sunni regions that eliminate some extremists, but also lay the groundwork for AQI recruiting in the future. AQI was largely decimated when we left in 2011. Now its ranks have regrown to at least a couple thousand fighters, according to most reports. In July 2013, al-Qaeda in Iraq successfully attacked the prison at Abu Ghraib, leading to the escape of 500 prisoners, most of which were people we put in that prison for terrorism. That builds a case for perhaps helping Prime Minister Maliki, and he wants American weapons. And his biggest argument is that we should give him American weapons because his enemies hate us. The problem is his friends hate us too. And his friends in Tehran are more dangerous to us than his enemies in Fallujah. Now, Maliki's argument goes something like this. He holds office today solely as a result of various actions taken by the United States, some of which were mistakes. And since, therefore, he is our product, therefore, we have to protect him and do whatever he wants. And therefore, he is, quote, one of the good guys, no matter who he allies himself with today. The fact is, his allegiance to Tehran is only a bit less than Assad's allegiance to Tehran. But Maliki's argument goes something like this. Since he has been the beneficiary of a series of American mistakes in the past, we have a legal duty to continue to make mistakes for his benefit in the future. If we're going to provide him with weapons, there ought to be at least 4 conditions. The first is that he start trying to reach a compromise with at least some elements of the Sunni community. He has taken provocative actions against Sunnis, such as postponing elections in Sunni regions and forcing prominent Sunni politicians out of the government. He shouldn't be seeking the best deal he can for the Shia community. He should be seeking a peace that would benefit not only him but the United States. And he needs to allow proper Sunni representation in his government. Second, if he wants our weapons, he ought to pay for them. People involved in foreign policy seem to be so focused on foreign policy that whether we get paid for the weapons or not is at most a footnote. The fact is, Iraq has plenty of oil now. We'll have even more oil in the future. They've got enough cash to pay for the weapons now, and they can certainly borrow in the international markets, and at very minimum, they can agree to pay us later in cash or in oil. Third, he's got to stop Iranian flights over his airspace into Syria. Now, he'll say, well, then give me an air force. We don't have to. All he has to do is authorize the Saudi, the Turkish, or the American Air Force to ensure that his airspace is not used wrongfully by Iranian thugs transiting to Damascus so they can deploy and kill as many innocent people and some non-innocent people in Syria. And finally, he's got to focus on the hostages from Camp Ashraf and the human rights of those in Camp Huria, also known as Camp Liberty. These are international responsibilities that he has. So If there is no penetrating analysis, the argument will be, we created him, therefore he's a good guy, he's in trouble, therefore we give him weapons for free. That is the default position of our foreign policy. My hope is that through this hearing and other forums, we're able to penetrate a little bit more deeply. I yield back.